You're doing the work, carrying the team, and wondering what's next. Maybe you're having your own fourth in life crisis moment, as our next guest puts it, stuck at the goal line. Nobody hands us a rule book when the game changes, but Angela Alfano wrote you a playbook. Angela is field tested across more than 2 decades of game days, working in the front offices of the NFL, Major League Soccer, the Washington Commanders, and Tough Mudder. Please welcome into the Spark Session my friend, Angela Alfano. Okay, welcome to the Spark Session, Angela. I'm so excited to have you today and to just learn from you. You've had an incredible career.
Thank you so much, Brittany. It is such an honor to be here today with you and your listeners, and I cannot wait to have this conversation and to help give back to them in some way.
Yes. Well, let's start there because I honestly feel like the genesis or the headline of your career is all about giving back. And you've learned a lot of hard lessons through working in sports and media and marketing and public relations. So tell me, just give us a little rundown of your career. Where have you been?
Absolutely. Well, I will start. I am the founder of Team Breakthrough, and it's a leadership and career development company that helps those ambitious professionals who are stuck on that corporate ladder break through and become unstoppable leaders. I am also an author and keynote speaker. But I think to your point there, if we rewind, before I founded my company, and that was just a little over a year and a half ago, I spent nearly 2 decades in sports and entertainment on some of the biggest stages and biggest sidelines. So there I was a award-winning sports communications executive, and my career span stops at the Washington Commanders, NFL league office, Major League Soccer, and Tough Mudder. And it was, Brittany, it was such an absolutely incredible ride. Yeah, I mean, literally, I got the headband to prove it. And I got muddy. So please know, I know what it takes to get a media hit when it comes to barbed wire and everything. But
it's like a literal media hit.
Literal media hit and running up a 15-foot half pipe ramp. But it all takes a team, and it all takes a village to be able to put any and all events together. And I think one of the greatest opportunities I got throughout my whole career was working on high impact media opportunities across all these amazing, iconic events. So Super Bowls, drafts, White House initiatives, MLS All-Star games, like press tours, like you name it. And to your exact point, what I learned is it truly takes a team to accomplish all these things. Business is a team sport, not an individual sport. And when you lean on your team, you can accomplish great things.
Absolutely. So you're a University of Georgia grad, like me.
Go Dogs! Go Dogs!
Go Dogs! But you had just big ambitions. I was just reading through your notes, and tell me about sitting in your sorority house and laying all of your materials out and saying, like, I really want to get an internship in sports. What did that look like for you?
Absolutely, Brittany. So like you just said, I had this vision and this dream, and I was probably absolutely delusional with this dream. But I tell people all the time, you have to be delusional to go after your goals. And I remember vividly sitting in my sorority house on Village Avenue, shout out to my Sigma Kappas. And I sat there, it was sophomore year in the fall, and I was stuffing these packets. I had my resume, I had my cover letter, I had my writing samples, and I mailed them. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, and I mailed them to every single sports team, PR agency, you name it. And then I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And after dozens of those packets, I got one email, and that was from the Washington Capitals. And they were hiring for a game entertainment intern. Now, y'all, I knew absolutely nothing about hockey, but I went out. I was like, this is my chance. Brittany, I was like, this is my chance. So I'm buying a Hockey 101 book for dummies. I'm going to read this thing start to finish. I'm going to figure out all the positions, everything. I am, like, at the time, like, Googling all the videos to figure out how to pronounce all the player names and all those Eastern European and Russian names. But I was like, if this is my chance, I'm going all in. And it's okay if it's not necessarily, like, my dream was PR, but I'm like, you can take every opportunity as a stepping stone towards your dream versus a stumbling block. So I went in and I was like, let's do it. I got the internship. Fun fact, go Dogs. There was actually a Georgia connection. The gentleman picked up my resume because he was like from Athens and is still a mentor of mine to this day. But one of the coolest things that happened, and this is where I say, open yourself up for opportunities when you're in these internship experiences, was The Washington Capitals owner was friends with the Washington Castles World Team Tennis owner, who was putting together the first ever inaugural season that summer. Like, this was just luck and opportunity.
No way.
So
That's crazy.
what happened was, I'm at the internship at the Capitals during the day, and he's like, hey, do you want to come with us and produce matches at night? You don't have to, like, by the way. But I'm like, I have to. Like, this is incredible. So they got me on headset. I'm helping produce these matches. And when we talk about game entertainment, it's all of the environment. You're basically creating the environment in which the game and fan experience exists. So what are those like mascot moments that come out, the rally towels to fan? What is the music like? What's the video boards experience when fans are in there? But we were doing all of that. And it actually was something like I never anticipated doing. But again, every moment, every little step that I could get my hands on within the industry, I did to learn the industry as a whole, to ultimately hold the vision of delusional. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I'll make it in the PR position. But in the meantime, I'm going to learn the whole industry every step of the way and keep my eyes on the prize of like, what is that PR guy doing? Why is he doing that? And when appropriate, asking all the questions of like, hey, and the gentleman's name was Jack, who oversaw all the communications for the Castles. I was like, Jack, you just got everybody in Sports Center. By everybody, I mean Serena Williams and what is it called? And John McEnroe. I'm like, how did you do that? Like, give me your playbook. And I was so lucky. There were so many internships that they were able to share, even though I wasn't in the PR department, but that's where you gain those nuggets of wisdom along the way.
Oh, man. And I'm such a big fan of just asking people on the periphery, just in your environments. If you find yourself in an environment rubbing shoulders with people who know what they're doing, I mean, realize that they didn't know what they were doing at one point. So Absolutely. Everybody's learning by doing and by trying things. And I just love that. I don't know if you know this about me, but I served as a sports stringer for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Right. I was maybe even a senior at Georgia doing mostly football. And they assigned me a couple of stories. I wrote for the sports pages at the AJC for the Georgia Tech women's volleyball game. And I was like, I don't know anything about volleyball. I had that same experience where I was like learning everything I could about the lingo, reading all of these past sports articles, saying like, how can I tell this story? And, thankfully Absolutely. I just had really great beat reporters to learn from.
I say it's so to have the mantra, be a student of your profession at any level. Like so to this day, yes. I still am like, okay, I need to be a student in entrepreneurship. And one of the things yes. I come back to all the time, especially when I'm talking to young professionals who are so eager to break into the sports industry, is you see Commanders or you see college, University of Georgia. So you go see the college and you see the arrow to Commanders, but you don't see the path to get there. That's and right. That path included 9 different internships on my side. Before
I got 9 internships. That's
9
amazing.
A career in internships, y'all. But each one was a stepping stone. And to your point of, and for all the University of Georgia or any college students out there, I worked in the athletic department. And to your exact point, I worked every single sport. So like I was at tennis matches, I was at swim and dive matches, I was working women's basketball, men's basketball, anything to get my foot in the door to learn and to absorb what the industry's like and what is it like at the highest level. So just being a sponge, and I call it getting your uniform dirty. Like we all
that's good.
Of the profession, but like that's how we learn. That's how we gain confidence is by dirtying that uniform and realizing, okay, I'm going to be a rookie. This is my first time around at this. It might not be perfect, but I'll get there. Well, we got to put
people love to help. Like they absolutely love to give you. Yeah. I think even professionals love to give platform, give opportunity. Like you said about that is it the Commanders?
Commanders. Washington Commanders.
And Jack, who just, taught you things. Like if you ask questions, you get good answers. Ask good questions, get good answers.
Secrets to anybody at any level in your profession is don't be shy about asking for an informational interview. I think informational interviews are just like gold to like dig up those wisdom and those nuggets of like, how did you get there? And that happens at any level. And even if you're at a career crossroads and you're like, I don't know which way to go. Should I stay? Should I go? Informational interviews all the way to be able to, again, mine those details and figure out how did you maneuver through your career? Why did you bob and weave a certain way? And to your point, most professionals are open doors, open playbooks saying, we're happy to help. You just got to ask.
Right. Well, and it is going to be a little bit of a bob and we think situation, because you're going to learn things and meet people, and your career is very much determined by the relationships that you build along the way. And so part of what we want to talk about on this podcast, but even at SeeSparkGo all of the time, is what does it mean to be a part of a great team? And you said it, you're like, you've been a part of but then even in your career, you've always been a part of a team. Do you feel like you have a favorite team, or what have you learned from those experiences?
I have learned that business is a team sport, not an individual sport. And that the best teams that I've worked for in the front office mimicked almost exactly like the championship teams on the field. Okay, and let me explain, and I'll dig into this a little bit. I feel like every professional is actually a business athlete. And when you have that mindset going in, you realize you have your own style of play. You have your signature moves. You are a subject matter expert, which is so amazing. But each person in your department serves a certain position. And that, I say department, but a position on the field. You know that sometimes, hey, it's your time to shine and go for the goal. But other times, you're the one setting everybody up for an assist. And you realize, though, you're locked in on this common goal. And you can't do it without each other. Everybody's seen, everybody's valued, everybody's appreciated. And I think to double down on that too, the best teams I've ever been on have coaches as leaders. Like they have that leadership coach mentality because they're focused not only on the output, but also your growth. And I think that's huge because they understand like everybody on this team needs to gather and build their, I call them business muscles, but reps. And they allow the space for those reps to take place. And those reps, I mean, could be like a presentation in front of a client. It could be, hey, why don't you pick up the phone and try this pitch with this reporter, or go out and do this. But you give the space and the teamwork mentality to say, okay, but if you fumble, we got you. It's just that area and space for growth. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. I feel like my buddy Jeff Henderson says this, and I'm going to give it to you because I feel like it's something that is for you and about you, Angela. And he says, or he said this in a recent email newsletter, that your success is not based on what you accomplish. It's what others accomplish because of you.
Yeah.
And to me, that idea of you've accomplished a lot, but what you're wanting to do is, hey, here's some of the plays that I ran, and here's where I fumbled, and here's where I got coached well, and maybe I didn't get coached well in some experiences. But, you know, that idea that we're giving away what we've learned as professionals, and we've learned by fumbling at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always go back to trash that corporate rule book. Literally, and build yourself a playbook. And I am so like passionate about that because so many experiences, when I look back on my career and I like help provide guidance for those moving forward and that next generation of leaders, it's all because we took time to mine those mistakes and dig up the nuggets of wisdom because we were vulnerable enough to share what didn't work. So that way we can share with that next generation, hey, this is a blind spot of mine. You don't have to be blindsided by this. You can actually know it's coming. Or, hey, you know, you might not, you have to still dirty your uniform to get through it. But on the other side, you at least have a strategy when you approach that situation. And I think, again, as we share our plays, because there is no custom one size fits all way to get to the next level. I'm a firm believer in that. By customizing a playbook, we're able to play to our strengths, figure out our blind spots, and have understanding of like where you can grow in the room, but also, again, what reps and muscles you need to build along the way. And I'm a huge believer in the playbook.
I love that. I love the whole playbook. And I'm sure you have a lot of plays that you could even share with us. But maybe talk about some of the big campaigns that you've been a part of. Is there something that stands out to you, of something that you've been really proud to be a part of?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, how much time have we had? Because there's so many. But I think, especially for my Atlanta fans here, there was, okay, we're talking about teamwork. Probably the epitome of teamwork was our MLS All-Star Experience, MLS All Access Experience. And it was a 2-day media immersion trip that we put on in Atlanta for over, I think it was around 30 media members that we flew in. And the coolest thing about this immersion trip was They were all media members who've never attended an Atlanta United game or MLS game. So it was their first experience being brought into our MLS family and ecosystem. But when it comes to teammates, it took about 8 different organizations to pull this thing off, and we had about 3 weeks to do it. So 2-day immersive experience. We flew media members in. We had just partnered with IHG Hotels and Resorts, so an amazing company, Atlanta-based company, a great partner. So we had the ultimate hospitality spaces to host, and we left no stone unturned. Media members got to the hotel. They had their swag bags. They had Adidas swag in there. We had these adorable soccer cupcakes that were in the room to wine and dine them with. Then we went to the stadium, y'all. We had a exclusive behind the scenes tour. We had champagne toast on the rooftop with them. And I'm not talking the rooftop, the nosebleeds. I'm talking about we needed to sign legal forms to get up there. We were outside watching the sunset.
On the roof of Mercedes-Benz.
On the roof, which was the coolest thing. And then we go down. And
that's fun.
It was so fun. And that's why I always say, when you plan a media event, you want to plan something. If it's fun for you, it's going to be fun for the media. It's right. Even if you're not the right target audience, you'll figure it out. You want to plan something fun. But we're coming down the barrels of the stadium. We're coming down the tunnel, and we're about to hit the locker room. And our friends at Mercedes-Benz are in the front. They're leading the crowd. Atlanta United PR is in the middle, and I'm the friend at the end. And I'm like, okay, here it comes. I'm so excited.
You're Major League Soccer, wrapping this around.
Here we go. Big bear hug. They turn into the locker room, and that's when the screams happen. And that's when I knew, chef's kiss, we did it. What happened was they got in the locker room, and we had jerseys hanging in the lockers. But these weren't just any jerseys. We customized them with every media member's name. So they walked in and basically found their jersey, found the locker room. So cool. In the locker room, started trying them on. They were so surprised. All right, speeding this up. Next day, we have brunch at one of the IHG hotels, which was so awesome. But we had a surprise guest, B.O.B., who's an Atlanta United fan. I think he's Grammy Award-winning artist. Comes in, spends time very intimately with all the media members. We get to the game. We're on the sidelines. We tailgate with everybody to showcase that amazing, passionate fandom that Atlanta United fans have. And then we're in the suite at halftime. And that's when Jermaine Dupri comes over and welcomes everybody to Atlanta firsthand. None of that would have happened without teammates. We didn't activate one. We activated an entire ecosystem of teammates to pull this off. And that's where I just think it's absolutely unbelievable when you can all have and lock in on that bigger vision and goals and objectives across the board and how it all can come together. I think the last 2 things I would add onto that would be the concept of scalability. We had done media immersion trips before, and they probably, and this event was built on the shoulders of so many events that MLS had done before. But with the new partner, IHG, we were able to look at it from a scale standpoint that we never did before. And we realized hey, what you can do for 8 to 10, if you do for 15, the delta is not that different. If we do it for 20, the delta is not that, it's still doing all that planning and all that work, but it takes somebody and a leader, a coach, to have the vision to stretch everybody, to stretch what's possible. And then you set the new standard of excellence moving forward. So I thought that's all that happened in that event. And it was absolutely amazing.
Well, I pulled several nuggets from that too, Angela. And one that you're if you're going to enjoy it, the fans will enjoy it. The readers, at the end of the day, media is still, it's news, but it's also entertainment. And so how are you bringing these experiences to life in a way that people want to be a part of? They want to read the story. They want to listen to this podcast. What's in it for them? At the end of the day, you have to have the audience in mind.
And when we were creating this event, we were let's create an unforgettable experience. And what that did is it gave space for a transformational experience to take place as well. And what I mean by that is they had never been to an MLS game, and they walked away as a fan. And I say the best media member I'm pitching is the one that is a huge fan who's putting on the jersey and going down to the field and enjoying the game. So I'm that's who I'm pitching every day and night.
It's a job, but it's also an experience.
Absolutely. And another thing to think of, and I like to think when we're looking from a media lens, there's what I call a splash and a cannonball. The splash is the headlines, the quick hits. Yes, we did that. The cannonball has a ripple effect long after the event. Yeah, and that's what this specific event created, which I was so passionate and thankful for all the work everybody did is because we played the long game. We played the let's make authentic relationships. Let's make actually, this, again, unforgettable experience where they can become fans. And that way we can work with them for many years to come. Not just we got the quick hit, boom, instant gratification, or demand that we had coverage that, no, there was no demands. It was, let's build a relationship together.
Right. Let's create a pathway. And why do for 10 what you can do for 30?
Our suite, our suite can host 30. So I said, why not?
Our suite can host 30. Let's fill it up. I think that's amazing. I think that's a really good nugget for people. And it honestly reminds me of parenting. I only have 2 boys. You have 2 boys.
Yes, ma'am.
But it's like if we went from 2 to 3, I hear it's like going from man to man to zone. So we just never made that jump. But talk about being a mom in this world. Like, what is that like for you? I know you're passionate about your kids, and most moms are, but it's tough. It's a juggle to carry all of the real things, the real life things, and do work that's really important to you.
Oh man, you're hitting the heartstrings here. It's, for me, one, being a mom is the best job I've ever had, like hands down. It is so rewarding on so many levels, but it has really brought me to so many different places when it comes to the profession. I always say the most important narrative you'll ever write is your own. And when I'm going to go kind of a little bit on a story here, and I promise I'll come back, but my little guy was the one that was the whole inspiration for my company. And it all routine breakthrough, both of them, because I was having this amazing career. I was at Major League Soccer. I was pregnant with number 2. And that's when my water broke at 7 months. And we ended up going into the NICU, and we were there for 6.5 weeks, and we sat at the crossroads of what I like to call miracles in modern medicine, watching the 3rd trimester take place outside the womb and inside the hospital. Wow. And it was one of those where I'm like, I have a new roster to manage. I have doctors of everything is, I say life is seasons, and this one was motherhood. And then from that came, okay, I can let life have a story of like, this is it, goodbye profession, or pivot with power, right? Write your own narrative, make these boys the inspiration in the best way, and show them like, no, when life hits you with the hardest, you can remain unbreakable. You just need to be able to embrace your passion and figure out a way to build it within a life and an ecosystem that you already are creating. So, but I'm with you. Ambition and motherhood, I think for the longest time, I made them opponents, if I'm being really real. And then it took almost, again, that kind of crisis moment, if you may, to realize, let's have this as the invitation, not the implosion, to bring them back in and have them actually be teammates, and how to make them work as a team versus, again, as opponents.
Yeah. Well, and I'm so inspired by that. I feel like we first met when you were kind of coming through going through that season and saying like, what does the next chapter look like? So talk about team breakthrough. What is your passion now? What are you doing, and how are you helping people?
Yes. So my passion, my obsession, my mission is helping those amazing goal getters who are stuck on that corporate ladder. I want them to break through those glass ceilings and become unstoppable leaders. I always say that it was glass for a reason. So let's make sure we smash
it. Was glass for a reason.
It was glass for a reason, y'all.
That's right, sister.
Let's do this. But from a company perspective, it's all about community. It's about teammates. I have a monthly membership or a yearly membership, I should say, that we meet monthly and really provide all of the different plays and thought leadership nuggets that allow them to build and customize their own playbook so they can break through. We have courses, we have community, we have coaching. So that's all the company itself. And then the book comes out later this year, which is From Stuck to Unstoppable. And it's a business playbook helping everybody do the same, and it's interesting. I remember in that moment that we were in at Grady, Brittany, and it was going through that transformation. And I had been stuck in my career many times where you're like, what do I do next? Something's not working. But the same thing can happen at any season in life. And that's when I realized you can use the same plays, just apply them and customize them in different ways to make sure you can then grow with your life, your career, a business, whatever it may be. And you really, in a great way, found me at that moment. So the book does the same thing. What it does, and it breaks down even, I would say, more thoroughly, because I'm no gatekeeping plays. I'm going to share everything, but it helps you navigate career crossroads with confidence. It helps you build your promotion playbook. It helps you make your impact impossible to ignore, because I think a lot of us think visibility and vanity. Visibility and value. That's what changes the game.
Oh, that's good.
It helps you. Again, I say it takes, like, from a normal business book, quote unquote, I think it goes the extra step in what I really wanted to provide, where it goes and focuses on the inner game as well. And that inner game is what makes you unbreakable when life
You're
hits
learning
you.
who you are.
Yeah,
Through all of these experiences. That's huge.
absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a great book Arthur Brooks wrote, From Strength to Strength. And it kind of is about this idea of seasons of your life, and that it's going to look different, and give yourself grace. It's going to be okay that it looks different. But you have a different, you're building on your strengths because you're learning, and we're all learning constantly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's funny. I had one of the inspirations for the book, back in my career, was like this such pivotal time where I had one of the biggest fumbles. And to your point, I was like, what season should I do? And I was at the NFL, and I got tapped to present at the commissioner briefing meeting for the draft. And it wasn't any old draft. It was like the draft that moved from New York City to Chicago for the first time in 50 years.
Whoa.
Incredible opportunity. But y'all, I fumbled that presentation. And thank God for professional teammates who came in, rescued, saved the day, but teammates who also were like, hey, we're going to give you time, and you're one of the youngest presenters, to build those reps, to grow that muscle.
Wait, so you're presenting in a boardroom at the NFL?
I'm presenting in the boardroom at the NFL to commissioner, all the executive leadership team.
Roger Goodell's sitting at the table.
I'm one of the youngest presenters, coolest opportunity. But what I realized afterwards, I was shattered. And again, this is where I kind of connect the book to these different seasons, because at that point, I am broken. I leave the office thinking, I'm going to throw in the career towel. I'm stuck, just like the book, just like these other seasons.
How old were you?
26.
26. So again,
it's amazing to have the seat at the table, but it's another thing to know how to order off the menu. It's like going for sushi for the first time, and you're like, okay, this is cool. I've been out to dinner before, but I don't know what wasabi is versus the chopsticks versus the roll. But I say that
I want the pistachio ice cream, please.
Absolutely. But I say, when I was sitting there broken on this stoop outside in New York City, and I had the 3 a.m. pizza to the right of me, the garbage to the left, and I'm thrown in the career towel. I had this moment, and this was such an inspiration for the book and plays and continuing to be generous, that this wasn't a fumble at 4th and inches. This was the fourth in life crisis that hits. It's when you've outworked the room, you're delivering the results. You're stopped at the professional goal lane, not because you don't have talent, not because you don't have drive, not because you don't know what it takes. It's because the game quietly changed around you when you were busy executing at the highest levels of the old one. And that's why we need to trash the corporate rule book and build a playbook, because the plays are from all of these amazing professionals who can show you, hey, that's when the game changes. That's when you need to level up. That's when you need to prep differently. That's when you need to do X, Y, and Z. So that's what I hope to accomplish with both the company and the book, is basically sharing all those plays to help the next generation of leaders break through those glass ceilings.
Well, and I feel like you're hitting on such a good theme or trend line for people in their careers. I think everybody gets stuck when they're like, oh man, did I miss it? Did I get so close and just not run the right play, or, some way, somehow fumble the ball in my own career? And I think you're giving some confidence to, it's okay. It's okay to fumble. I hear that time and time again. And just don't be scared. Get on the field anyway. And I say this in agency world a lot. There's always somebody on the sidelines that's ready to take your position anytime. So risk it. Do the hard thing. Run the play. And even if you do fumble, get back up. So there's so much of tenacity and grit that comes through in professionalism. And even if you pivot in your career, that's okay too. There's just an unstoppable nature.
Oh my gosh, so much what you said there, Brittany. And I say the worst game to play in your career, the absolute worst one, is the waiting game. It's the one where you're waiting for industry recognition. You're waiting for the promotion. You're waiting for somebody to tap you to say, get in the game, or somebody to all of a sudden realize that you're the talent. It's the most game-changing move you can have is realizing, wow, I'm actually the asset. I can actually do this. And to your point, being I call it the strategic spectator, where you're putting yourselves in position to get your uniform dirty. Or, for example, like that commissioner briefing meeting that I said, you're putting yourself in position to at least attend one of those before you give the presentation, because then you're taking notes. You're like that second string quarterback who you're ready to go as soon as you go in. But until you get there, you need to make sure you realize the new game and new arena that you're in.
Yeah. Well, and those reps, you talked about getting reps, like wherever you are in whatever profession, career, organization, business you are, like get reps, do it again and again and again, try things, ask for help, see what works. I think learning the game is imperative. So that's a really
Absolutely.
good nugget.
I am all about experience. And, one of the things too, to touch on briefly, because I struggled with this so much and still struggle with this, is perfectionism. And I call it the self-doubt penalty box. So like in hockey, there's a penalty box and you get a foul. But so many times we put ourselves in there and we stay there. And the thing that we have to remember is the game continues. Your team is carrying that load while you're sitting there stuck in this, like in playing mental gymnastics. And it's one of those things, just like quarterback, it's good to have short-term memory in business and realize, like to your exact point, fail, fast forward, let's get back in the game. But that's where teammates, I have to give teammates so much credit throughout everything, is because sometimes the best, I would say the best in all those situations, I look back on my career, I wish I could say, oh, it was me. I had this like poof moment that was like, get out of your imposter syndrome. So many times it was a teammate or a colleague or a boss who came and said, you got this, come here, or get in that elevator, or get in that presentation, or you belong in that room, or come sit at the table. And that's where I say all of us can be really good teammates to each other in that next generation, because sometimes it takes someone else to recognize that, even though you need to see it yourself, but we can all help see it in other people.
Really good teammates and really good coaches.
Absolutely.
Angela, I like to end these conversations with like your favorite childhood story. Is there something that comes to mind about just your childhood that still resonates or rings true today?
So one of my favorite childhood stories, and I promise I'll be brief on this, was so my first love broke up with me in the "it's not you, it's me" way.
Oh,
and
no.
My first love was soccer. So I got cut from a soccer team, and that's what the coach said. But rulebook versus playbook, it was my first kind of like experience with this, where my field hockey friends were all playing lacrosse, and they're like, come try out. And I was like, but the season already started. I got cut. I don't know what to do. But they're like, do it. So I went on, and we talked about me being Italian. So this Italian stallion, Rocky Balboa, this girl can take a hit and keep going. I go on the field. I try out, make the team, get pulled up to varsity freshman year, end up being a 2-year captain, all district, all reason, all honors, all the things. But what that taught me more than anything, it's less about sports. What it taught me was everything about environments and how sometimes you have the talent, you have the work ethic, but you need to figure out what environment will actually make you flourish and shine, and that you don't need to change who you are. You need to find the environment where you belong. And that changed everything for me when I was realizing, like, I didn't realize it at the time, but like, as I kind of matured and went through internships and professions and job interviews, it was such a core moment in my life that I mean, yes, okay, it was a great college essay at varsity and Oklahoma University and things, but having that notion of it's the environment, and, don't change your clothes or the jersey sometimes, like, or change the clothes and jersey. Don't do plastic surgery. You are who you are. And really don't try.
Right.
So that way you can find the right environment where you can flourish and shine.
Man, that's so good. Environments. My husband and I tell our boys all the time, we're like, if you think about 3 concentric circles of talent, effort, and opportunity, you technically can't control the talent. Like, that's God-given. That is innate. That is who you are. And it's what's inside of you that you're trying to kind of stir up and pull out. Effort, that's the only thing that you can control. And then opportunity is given. But it's not necessarily given for, it's given because you play the game, because you learn how to play the game. And that's both on and off the field, I would say. Like, you're raising your hand, you're knocking on doors, you're building those relationships, you're saying yes to opportunities that you didn't think maybe were the best fit, but you see the value of the learning opportunity. So I love that, Angela.
I love that. I love the Venn diagram. I'm going to have to use that with my boys too.
Yeah, you can't control the talent or the opportunity, but you can control the effort.
Yep.
So in the end, to me, your playbook is going to be invaluable to next generation leaders. So you guys, I hope you connect with Angela. How can we find you?
Teambreakthrough.com, or you can find me at Alfano on Instagram.
Angela Alfano. You guys, thank you for joining the Spark session, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Brittany, and thank you all listeners.